What's up, everyone? We are James and Alma Curran here with another episode of Restore Your Intimacy, where we believe that no marriage is beyond fixing as long as both people are all in.
Right on. The topic I want to cover this episode is positive numbers. And this comes from, we've been pretty vulnerable on past episodes about our past. And we were just in this stuff a lot, I felt like we were always kind of clawing to either keep each other down negative so one doesn't sail higher. That's a pattern that we see a lot with couples, especially ourselves. But also just feel like you're digging yourself out of a hole, so in life in general, but especially in a relationship, it can feel like we're just dealing with negative numbers, kind of going from a -7 to a -4, and that's an improvement, and that's better than it was, and so that's like enough, and then recently we've had this experience of first being like recognizing that we're neutral or into positive more often, and then getting comfortable with that idea, because it is its own identity shift. And for us, it hasn't been natural, comfortable. I mean, it's easy, right? It's easy in the sense of like, okay, this is great. But when we're so used to, through patterning and conditioning and trauma, to be digging out of holes, it's not familiar. And so that's what I want to talk about today.
Yeah. Because when you're used to looking for the problems and kind of blaming the other person or any external circumstances for your problems, for why you're not where you want to be, it is so easy to blame your spouse.
They're right there
because they're always right there,
and they're always going to be there. Hopefully, right? They can I'll take way more punches than random guy on the street.
Exactly.
Because I'm way more committed to you. Like
exactly.
Yeah. It's easy.
It's very easy to dump everything on your spouse, and then because they are a lot more forgiving, and when you're always around somebody who's a lot more forgiving, they also have a lot more opportunities to take the punches, right? When you and I first started working together and we started spending pretty much 23 hours a day together, there was that frequency, right? There was that proximity.
Yeah, opportunity for conflict. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So now you wanted to talk about the positive numbers specifically, and can you give me an example of positive numbers in our experience?
Yeah, well, let's contrast that with what the negative experience is.
Okay.
The negative is like, for me, hypervigilance, always on alert, seeking, sensing, like wondering, is there going to be something that's going to trigger you, that will then trigger me, that will cause us to enter a downward spiral of chaos, and possibly, in a disaster, catastrophizing sense, threaten our relationship. Right? So like, we lived there for a long time. And it was terrible. And so we can get into specifics, but I think that if this resonates with you, you get it. But the goal was just kind of like treading water. It was neutral. It was zero at best.
Don't rock the boat.
Yeah. And the sort of highest number we could hit would be a -2. Maybe a +2, but that'd be like, we're on vacation and everything's perfect and whatever. You know what I mean?
That's literally vacation mode. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like, fake reality anyway, temporary reality. So like that's where we were for so long. And the anticipation of a negative experience that would drop us down some points, the manifestation of negative experiences, because we expected them, we would project them. I would just wait for the moment. I'm like, I know it's coming. And then my anticipation would basically push you over the edge. Be like, all right, dude, you want it? Here it is. Like, you're gonna get the horns. That's what the bull get the horns.
Yeah.
So that's where we were for so long. And then there was a real, straight up, ever since I personally found God, I surrendered to God. I told God I can't do this anymore on my own. Things started changing a lot from there. And that wasn't the cure-all. It wasn't instant, but that was the start of the ascent of just, it's almost as if like you're backfilling there. Like if you consider it like a hole, like I like metaphor. So if I consider myself like I'm in a hole, then I'm like backfilling dirt and stepping up and slowly reducing the depth of the hole to the point where standing on like solid ground, like neutral, like sea level ground on the daily. And that was its own shift. That wasn't normal for us.
No.
But we got there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for what was normal for us was getting into the cycle of getting triggered, then ignoring each other. Kind of, we would not talk for days.
Oh yeah.
And we would avoid each other.
Yes. And, you know, being parents, we had to like put on mommy and daddy mode in front of our daughter, which she could always tell every time. Like she's a smart, highly in tune nervous system that senses all of the stuff that we project out there. So that never really worked. And we knew that. So yeah, it was definitely tough for a long time.
Yeah. And then we would argue.
Yeah.
Because one of us would reach a breaking point where
yes.
It's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want this tension in the house. Then we would break the tension through arguing.
Which would bring connection.
Which would bring connection. And we would kind of like go into neutral at best.
Yeah.
And with some positive moments. And then those positive moments, they give us a little bit of a little bit of hope, and then we would start to feel comfortable and start to make some positive progress, and the other one would catch on to that and say, not on purpose, of course, but the other one would say, wait a minute, I'm not there yet, I'm not going, and we would pull each other back into it, and it just kept.
That's one of the patterns. You know, this whole brand is all about intimacy repatterning, and when we bring our patterns from childhood to our relationship, it doesn't work out very well. Because if you're acting like a 4-year-old, because that's when you learn that pattern, because that's what got you attention, when you cried or when you protested or when you threw a fit or when you went into a cocoon and froze and you got attention. Like that's not going to work with an adult. Yeah.
But for our own reasons, we stuck together and we kept going.
Yeah.
And so now we ended up in positive numbers.
Yes, through a bunch of intention, healing, building, and let's talk about positive numbers, because it really started with some of the practices that we did on a regular basis. So I would notice I was always the one receiving the criticism or judgment, or the one that needed to figure this thing the fuck out. So I would notice something and I would make a connection. And then because we're both personal development junkies, like I'd be able to say like, hey, you know that thing that we read that says that this is how it should be? Well, I think we need that right now. So let's put it into this thing. And eventually we got enough of these rules that I created this like a pact, a covenant that we call it. And it's like all the arguments that we had, we found a need that was unmet, and we would write it down. And everything that we needed to do to sort of like prove to each other that we were going to stay with each other, we would write it down in this thing. And this list grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And first it was handwritten. It was handwritten for a long time. And then we would just add to it. And then we get into another fight. Okay.
Yeah.
We promised to love first. You know, we were fully committed to this union. Like all kinds of different things. The only way to fail is to believe that failure is not an option. You know, that was one that we added toward the end. There's a bunch of these, and we're both grasping for the phrases right now because we don't need this device anymore. It doesn't serve. It doesn't serve the purpose that it once did. So we've sort of like evolved past that. But for a while, it was like every time we would have a fight, okay, I see what you need. Let's write this down. Let's have this shared unifying like pledge to each other that we recite, and we would recite it every single night before we went to bed.
Yeah, absolutely. And We don't hold the need for it against each other or our union, obviously, and we definitely don't judge who we have been as individuals prior to this transformation. Uh, be, somebody up there. Because in life in general, we're all, because we need love, right? That's our greatest need. So every act is an act of love or cry for love, right? So whenever we're acting out, we're crying for love. We're saying, hey, look at me, I'm at my worst behavior, will you still love me, right? Or when we're feeling fulfilled and we're feeling in the positive, as you call it, that we are acting from a place of love. So love is always at the center of whatever you're arguing or about, or whatever it is that you're seeking. So, and when you talked about when you found God, when you came home to God, God is love. God is the ultimate
source of love,
the source of love. So when we put, as we have said, we put God at the center of our home, which means we put love at the center of our home.
Yeah, it really is true.
Yeah,
you can't. I don't think you can have true love without a connection to God.
Right. Yeah.
I tried it for a long time. I was not a faithful person, and that created, like, I was stuck in my own head and my own thoughts, my own fears on repeat. I was very unhealthy, mentally and emotionally, isolated, trying to do everything myself. And it wasn't until I fully surrendered to God that really just changed everything for me. And I had the ability to gain perspective, to surrender, and to get out of my own, stop believing all of the my own hype, I guess you would say.
Yeah. I remember, I don't know if it's appropriate, but I'll do it anyway. I remember when you and I don't know if we were dating, this was in the early 2000s or something. And you and I would always have these deep conversations that like not 20, 21, 22-year-olds normally don't necessarily have. And we would have these conversations about God specifically, and we were on the opposite ends of the spectrum, and you were trying to prove to me or convince me, not prove, but convince me that it's important to question God's existence at the very least. And I remember that conversation, me telling you it's easy for you to say to question God's existence, but for me, in my days of watching bullets fly overhead and grenades fall and explosions all around you, and you have nobody to save you. You can't leave. You can't just walk away. You can't run away. You can't ask for help. There's no parent to help you. If you do have a parent in that situation, like your parent is not there for your emotional support because your parent is also in survival mode. So those are the times when you really only do have access to one being, which is God. You believe that there's only one source of safety or rescue. And not that I'm comparing it to it, but when you talk about the day when you found God, it's kind of like it's the same thing, in your own way.
I was hopeless. I mean, that's the thing. I needed hope. I needed a way out. I felt like I had run out of options, and I was just sick of trying to do it myself. So I just gave up. I gave up control. I surrendered, and my life has been completely transformed ever since then.
Yeah. So when we talk about positive numbers, again, I want to bring it back to the topic of why we're here today. So turning to God is what turned towards.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think we had we started to build a covenant before that.
We did. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, that started. That was really the steering of the ship, or the turning of the ship around. It's like, okay, we need to start building a foundation of beliefs and mantras that we can speak to each other, because we know, we're Tony Robbins fans. Repetition is the mother of skill. So the beliefs that you want to have, you need to just repeat them over and over again. So I was like, okay, got it. Here are the beliefs that we need in order to survive and thrive and to exist in this relationship. Really starting to write them down, and they're going to be unique for every couple.
Absolutely.
They're totally a bespoke, custom solution to your particular
Yeah.
traumas and the way they've interacted with each other, and they have to stack. And there's probably some patterns. We don't have enough data to really show that. We'll probably get that at some point, but definitely should be a customized thing.
Yeah, and once we got there, once we convinced each other that that is the truth, that is our path, we started to feel a lot safer in our marriage, and we started to feel like we could ask each other, hey, I don't feel good right now, I don't feel safe, without the other person personalizing it, because that was one of our biggest problems for a long time. We would tell each other, yes, you can come to me. And then at the moment the other person comes to each other, we get triggered somehow, right? If I come to
every time, both of us,
yes.
would just not be able to handle it, get triggered, think it was our fault.
Yeah.
And to just fight back.
Yeah. It's like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Then come to me.
If you hadn't done this, then you wouldn't be there, and you should just figure it out yourself. And I can't fix this for you, and blah, blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
So then once we started to feel safe, then we decided, okay, we can come to each other. And even today, when we come to each other for something, hey, I need help, I need your reassurance, I need this, there is no personalizing it, at least not, I know that I don't personalize it. It's just like, oh, I'm so grateful now.
I get the opportunity to serve now. Yeah. I get the opportunity to be your person.
Yeah, because
which is a positive.
Yeah. Because I know how it used to be that you wouldn't come to me because you didn't want to trigger me. So now the fact that you do come to me now, that tells me that you are safe, that you're no longer afraid of me getting triggered. So it's so that alone, the act of you asking for help, it's so valuable. I just hold it so tenderly, and I don't take it for granted, because I know what it's like to be on the other side of that.
Been there.
Yeah. So the positive numbers are magnified, right?
Yeah. So to really make this clear, when one doesn't come, if I don't come to you, then I'm going to go into the negative on my own, right? And then you're going to wonder what's happened. That's going to bring it down even further, as opposed to me saying like, hey, that thing you said, or I'm struggling with this, or whatever. That keeps the negative points from getting added to the board, which helps you stay in the positive.
Yes, absolutely.
Boom. Never had that thought before.
That boom.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know that we all have our own challenges, right? It doesn't matter where you come from. I get to work with people who come from places where their peers ended up in gangs, right? And they ended up becoming multimillionaires and raising incredible kids. And then I also work with people who were raised in semi-normal environments, right? And they come out and they're just traumatized, and all kinds of people, right? With people from mixed marriages, just so many different blends, and everybody tends to think that they are especially messed up, right? It's like, well, I know that with us, it would be like, well, Alma, you have had your flavor of traumatizing experiences. Who am I to compare to that, right? Because then it's like we blame ourselves for not being extra fucked up. So,
I haven't been through a war and been through refugee camp after refugee camp. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, why? Then you blame yourself for feeling the way you feel. It's like, it's almost like you don't have a right to feel that way, right?
Yeah.
Or somebody will say the same things like, this is the color of my skin, or this is the language I speak, or this is this, or I was given that, and I was raised by a single mother, how could I ask for more? Or right, or I was raised by both parents, so why am I complaining today? So we just all come from all kinds of backgrounds where we just haven't been given the opportunity or like a permission slip, really, to feel our feelings, to feel all the feelings. And when we don't get to feel all the feelings, when we mute some of them, we mute all the feelings, we mute all emotions, and then we kind of present a potential of a person to our spouse, right?
Yeah. And what was coming up for me is when you're not feeling your feelings, you can't do that without numbing through some mechanism. So that's when substance abuse comes into play.
Porn addiction,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, all of the things that take you away from the present moment. So, which also is the kind of thing that will lower your score. Because if I'm not here for you, if I'm checked out, if I'm out playing video games or watching porn or doing something, getting hammered, but I'm not here for you, does that raise my numbers? It lowers them. Yeah.
Lowers them, yeah.
So and that can be a pattern. That can be a decades-long pattern.
Yeah. And I don't know. Oh, I know I see people popping in and out. So I don't know if you have had challenges like that in your marriage, or if these challenges are foreign to you. Wherever you find yourself on the spectrum is perfectly fine. But the reason we started this series is to showcase what is possible regardless of where you are on the path in your marriage, right? No marriage is ideal, and no marriage is beyond fixing, as long as both people want to stay in, right? And wherever you are, if you wish that your marriage was a little bit better, or if you and your spouse were more connected, or you feel like you're numbing out, or you feel like, oh, this is as good as it gets, right? Or whatever you're feeling, whatever beliefs you have developed about your specific marriage, you can change those beliefs. It is possible. I used to think that, well, at least I'm not something, right? At least we're not this, or
say something specific.
Well, at least I'm not in a different country, or at least I'm not married to an abusive husband, or so, right? If it
could be worse.
It could be worse, right?
Yeah.
It could be worse.
Yeah.
And so if you end up settling for what you have, you are creating the perfect ground for regret and resentment, which ultimately leads to estrangement, and your kids, or your future kids, or your grandkids, or whoever's watching is going to decide that is what marriage looks like. And then we do have a problem today where 1 out of 2, meaning 50% of women under the age of 30, do not plan on having children.
Wow.
So when you're working with those kinds of numbers, it is so easy to say that, hey, you know what? There is a potential threat to traditional marriage, right? We are potentially on the precipice of people living of people raising children, if they even raise children, right? Of people raising children without the other person in the house. And we know for sure that every family unit needs a mother and a father. I am a product of the absence of a father, and so is my brother. And it's just, it's not healthy. So we do need children to grow up we need more children, and we need children to grow up with both parents. So whatever example you're setting right now, just remember that your marriage is either an example or a warning to the future generations. So it is our responsibility to make to repattern our
Fix your shit.
fix your shit. Yeah, I'm beating around the bush. So
Just
thank
go
you for
to it.
being, so thank you for being direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some other things that we do now from where we are at this
Mm-hmm.
privileged vantage point that we worked our asses off to get to stay positive. I tell you every single morning that I will always love you. I will always be there for you. I will be your faithful husband for forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that does those specific words counteract your main trauma, which is being abandoned.
Correct.
Right. So it's like we whittled it down to like, here's the deepest, darkest fear. Boom. You'll never have to worry about that with me. And you start your day that way. Like I wake you up with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's like plus 1, plus 10, plus 100, something. Some positivity happens before you open your eyes, basically.
Yeah. And I mean, we can dig deeper into this in future episodes, but really, when I was raised in an environment where infidelity was at the core of my household, right, within my walls, and it was always talked about as if my father committed infidelity against my mother, right? She was the victim of this, right? And which is not true. She's a grown woman who could have made a different choice, right? So the infidelity is not against the woman or the other person.
Yeah, and it works both ways, right?
Right. So but so there you have somebody who's an untouchable, right? They're a victim. You cannot touch that person. You cannot give them any more of what they're already unable to handle, right? So then that infidelity gets passed down to the children or whoever's watching, because now you are, as a child, you are deciding, okay, the father is more likely to commit that, right? So you form your decisions about your future marriage on that. And then, also in my case, my mother was involved with married men. So to me, it was like, yeah, that's what happens, right?
It was totally normalized.
Anybody can take the man away.
Yeah.
It's normalized. So for me, that was a massive, terrifying fear, right? So then I have my own experiences in life. So for me to have my husband today consistently reassure me, probably for the rest of my life, that is a must. And this is the transformation that we have had. James would tell me, well, nobody can give you the safety, and we had a marriage therapist who would say, like you have to create that safety for yourself. Of course, we're all responsible for our own emotions, but anything that could smell like, oh, you're on your own, would trigger that childhood wound for me.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had advice is not one size fits all. I'll say that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you understand that, hey, in our union, in our marriage, this is a must, this is non-negotiable. I have to be reassured probably for the rest of my life. And you as the man in this relationship, you have to make a decision. Hey, am I willing to sound like a broken record for the rest of my life?
First pleasure.
And that's what it is, right? So that's what worked for us. Choosing, it's like maybe in some sort of a book or course or a therapy program or a coaching program, this wouldn't apply, but for this particular marriage, this is a must.
Yeah, and that's what's powerful about the intimacy repatterning framework is it isn't one size fits all. It's bespoke. You have to create your plan. You have to find out what the specific triggers are, what the childhood trauma was, what patterns are you carrying out in your relationship. What wound have you exposed that was from your childhood that is now present here that you could just, shove each other's face in the shit if you wanted to, but if you take a step back and look, actually, this happened way back there, and I'm just putting this on you now because this is the most recent version of it. When you can stop doing that, and find out what your specific things are that are going to be different for every couple, it is actually long lasting.
Absolutely. And in our case, also with you, because emotions were just to be shoved aside, like they shouldn't
could not be
exist.
expressed.
Yeah, they could not be expressed because everything was just kind of like humorous or dismissed or whatever. Just let's just not feel strong emotions. So for you, failing, making mistakes, doing anything that could potentially cause strong emotions was to be avoided at all costs.
Yeah.
So even with your, as I said even yesterday, you know, like your brain is not for sale. We both know based on your IQ results that you're at the genius level, but the way that your brain works, the way that you solve it, the way that you see problems quicker than anybody else, and at the rate of speed that you can actually create a solution for that problem is remarkable. And I'm honored to witness that every single day. So when we think about someone like you at the genius level of intelligence that you actually are, to be wasted because you're not allowed to feel feelings is crazy. So for you, it has been so important for me to tell you every day that I love you forever until we die, regardless of what you feel. That has been transformational, which has allowed you to go much faster.
Yeah.
In every area. So that the bottom of this whole conversation here is that just figuring out what it is for you that you're trying to avoid, right? Talking about because you're afraid of triggering the other person, and being willing to go on this messy, turbulent journey towards the light is everything.
It is. And once you turn that corner, once you have above ground and, you know, and you're in the positives as a stable point, then it's about building up the habits to stay in the positive. One of the things that I decided recently was that this flower vase right here, I'm going to make sure there's always fresh flowers in it. Right. So they last as long as they last. And when they start getting droopy, it's like, okay, time to go to the store and get some more, you know? So that's another thing that adds positivity to your world.
Yeah. And good thing we have a whole wall of hydrangeas. In a couple of months, you're going to be able to see them. Right now, it's winter.
Yeah.
So you can just clip them there. You don't even have to buy them.
Boom.
Save money, baby.
Still earn points.
Still earn points.
It's like getting flights with airline miles or something.
Doesn't matter where they come from. What matters is that waste is never.
It won't be.
Yeah.
Cool.
So building up those habits, being willing to see, hey, what is it? What is it that hurts you that I do, right? What is it? And the ability to sit with that and the ability to say, okay, I'm going to turn this around. It's not like I'm going to try or I'm going to work on it, right? I will turn this around, but please be patient with me. Please give me time. Please give me grace. And we're going to be 180. Right. Yeah. In this and work your ass off like your life depends on it, because your life does depend on it. Your children's lives depend on it. Your grandchildren's lives depend on it. I mean, the future of humanity depends on what you do with your marriage. So
change the individual and change the family. Change the family, change the neighborhood, community,
the world,
state, country, world.
Yeah.
Boom.
All right. That's it from us.
See you next time.